Don Lemon's post CNN meltdown has been one of the most bizarre displays of media desperation we ever seen. Ever since his firing, he's been on a mission to make himself relevant again by charging into situations where he clearly doesn't belong, acting like a self appointed citizen journalist. But instead of earning respect, he's making a spectacle of himself and getting publicly humiliated at every turn. And today, we got multiple examples of that, from storming into Marjorie Taylor Greene's office like an uninvited guest to getting the Capitol Police called on him to trying and failing to bait National Guardsmen into criticizing Donald Trump and then getting totally dismantled in Baltimore by actual citizens who tell him the opposite of what he wants to hear. And as a bonus, I got a clip at the end that's so outrageous, I couldn't not show it. But let's begin with Don Lemon's embarrassing visit to Marjorie Taylor Greene's office. Check it out.
After you. Come on. After you. After you. Hello.
We're here with the congresswoman.
She's not available right now. I'm so sorry.
Is she in?
You guys can contact their office at a different time if you would like a meeting with the congresswoman.
Can we leave word for her?
Sure, you can pass along the comment.
Yeah, we would like to make sure that she knows that we need to get Donald Trump impeached and out of office. My name is Carlos Alvarez Arantes. I'm the founder of American Opposition. I'm sure you've seen the protests on the streets and the Tesla boycott and all of that. We were one of the organizations that started that. This is Jessica Benson with the removal commission.
So I'm going to ask you to stop recording. This is a private office.
Yes, and we're here to see the congresswoman.
You're not residents of our district, and you haven't requested.
Yes, well, we're here requesting a meeting.
Well, again, your group is still recording. You can continue to contact Capitol Police. Okay.
No problem. Do you know when we can get her or?
No, I don't.
Okay. I mean, we're here. We have a legitimate concern.
Where are you from?
I'm the founder of American Opposition. We should the road to the ground.
I'm sure.
Yeah, the protests on the streets. So we're
Former Trump supporter and staff member.
she's the woman that got the non-disclosure agreements, Donald Trump's non-disclosure agreements. And this is Don Lemon. And we're here visiting, and we'd like to let her know that we
Okay, there
are
are ways that you can request an interview with the congresswoman and bombarding our office and
Oh no, we're not bombarding. This
We're
is
not
the
bombarding.
people's house, and
We're
we're
very
very
civil people.
peacefully coming here to talk to you.
Yeah.
American citizens, we can
we'll reach out to our communications.
And what's your
Can I
name?
get one, please?
What's your name? You don't.
Yeah, you work for us.
We work for the people of Northwest.
No, you work for the American people, and your salary comes from the tax dollars. You work for
Still recording.
Yeah, well, that's Don's prerogative. It's Don Lemon, he's a journalist. He's exercising his
MAGA
personal.
hats on the thing.
You know.
All right, let's go.
All right.
This is the people's house.
Yeah, you guys, you don't have to be rude. No, nobody's being rude. And you haven't even identified yourself. You're a public official.
Taking a photo of a member of Congress's office.
And that is totally, by the way, that is a First Amendment right.
No, it's not.
Yes, you can take a picture of anywhere you go.
I'm gonna get out of there. Coming here, it's not worth it. Coming here.
Because honestly, you work for us, you wouldn't identify yourself. No, you get paid by me. All right.
Well, there you have it, folks. Don and his crew charged into Marjorie Taylor Greene's office, cameras rolling, hoping to spark some kind of confrontation that will make headlines. But instead of finding the congresswoman, they found a staffer who calmly told them they were out of line and needed to follow protocol. Lemon insisted he had a right to be there, invoking freedom of the press like it gave him license to trespass and disrupt someone else's workday. His tone was entitled, like he still expected people to roll out the red carpet for him just to be used. For him, just because he was used to be on CNN. So he feels as though he can use his CNN privileges that he no longer works at, a company he no longer works at, as a way to feel entitled enough to have to do what he want to do when he want to do it, like barging into Marjorie Taylor Greene's office. But when that failed, they were essentially, as you see, told to leave. And at the end of the day, goodbye. So now let's move on to the United Station, because we go to where Don Lemon here, Lemon Boy, this is his other stunt with the National Guard. So at Union Station, Lemon approached the members of the National Guard, clearly hoping to get a juicy anti-Trump quote on camera. Check it out.
Hi guys, how are you? Hey, how are you? Guys, how do you feel being here? Great question.
To the state PAO's office. Thank you.
That's it? You guys aren't talking?
Yeah, state PO, sir. I'm sorry.
All right, thank you very much. Hi guys, how are you? Hey, how are you?
There you have it, folks. Basically, that is not no surprise, and they handled that very professionally. The National Guard said, look, we just here to do our job. You can talk to the POA office, which is fair. You know what I'm saying? Or they can say no comment, right? They can say no comment and leave it at that. They don't have to, they didn't fall for his antics. But at the end of the day, he can talk to the Public Affairs Office, which is POA. So he ran up to them with his mic and camera in their faces, thinking he'll find soldiers who were just as deranged about Trump as he is. But instead, they handled him like professionals. They gave a calm, measured response and redirected him to the proper press office. We don't have time for games. We got a job to do. I don't see nothing wrong with it. I don't see nothing wrong with it. Right? So it was another moment when Lemon's arrogance backfired. He thought he'll get a viral clip trashing Trump, but all he did was make himself look desperate and disrespectful. And the entitlement it takes to run up on a service member like that, or service members, just to serve your political narrative is absolutely wild. And he didn't stop there, because Lemon then confronted a congressman, and he tried to push the narrative that red states are more dangerous because they have higher murder rates. So this is who he tried to confront, Republican Rich McCormick. Check it out.
Listen to the places: Los Angeles, blue, right? Chicago, that he's saying he's going to send it.
Memphis is blue.
Blue.
Every city.
Well, Tennessee is a red state, okay?
But Memphis is extremely blue.
Okay, but still, it's in a red state.
But you're using an example of a
Okay, well,
Democrat.
fine. Let's just say Memphis. Baltimore, blue.
Blue. Yeah. So name me a big city that's not blue.
Well, okay, let me say something. Let me say something. Listen.
He said, well, there, somebody got tongue-tied there. I don't hear no substantiating your argument or the point of how you disagree with him. All I hear is this. Is it me, family? I hear crickets. I don't know what else. Let's rewind it. Look.
Listen.
They're saying that has a crime problem.
Say something. Listen.
They're saying that has a crime problem. So name me a big city that's not blue.
Well, okay, let me say something. Let me say something. Listen.
They're saying that has a crime problem. Every city has crime problem. Not like those cities.
The rage.
Jackson, Mississippi has crime. Every big city has a crime problem. But that's exactly my problem. If you want to talk about addressing, when you had a new mayor in New York and they clean up crime, everybody's happier.
Yeah.
And that would happen to be a Republican that did that.
I think you're making a.
There you go. You heard him, right?
And that would happen to be a Republican that did that. If you want to talk about addressing, when you had a new mayor in New York and they clean up crime, everybody's happier.
Yeah.
And that would happen to be a Republican that did that.
I think you're making a.
There you have it, folks. Comical. So, here he go. But the congressman pointed out what Democrats love to ignore. The crime in these red states are overwhelmingly comes from deep blue cities. Memphis, Chicago, Baltimore, they are all blue cities. In red or purple states, the numbers don't lie. Yes, red states may show up on crime stats, but that's because their blue urban centers are driving the violence. And this is how Democrats manipulate data. They hide behind state level stats to obscure city level realities. It's dishonest and it falls apart the moment someone who knows the data pushes back. And they love to say things like Chicago isn't the top 20 for murder rate, but ignore that Chicago consistently leads the nation in total murders. Or say, oh, there's crime everywhere. You heard him, right? Look.
Blue. Yeah. So name me a big city that's not blue.
Well, Okay, let me say something. Don, let me say something. Listen.
They're saying that has a crime problem. Every city has crime problem.
Every city has crime problem. The crash out family, right? They'll say things like that. But when you look at it, they ignore. They'll say Chicago, and they'll say every city has a crime problem, but ignore, for example, back to my example of how they say Chicago isn't the top 20 murder rate, but Chicago consistently leads the nation in total murders. It's a sleight of hand. A small city might have a higher murder rate, but Chicago has more total homicides year after year after year. So when Trump says he wants to deploy the National Guard where it matters most, like Chicago, it's not because he's targeting Democrats. It's because that's where the most lives could be saved. Democrats don't seem to understand. They think it's better to let people continue to suffer. Oh, wait. You know why? Because they can monetize the violence. They can fatten their pockets by validating an excuse by having a reason to clean up a problem, thinking they could just keep throwing money at the problem. Oh, Donald Trump doesn't need to come and deploy the National Guard. He just need to send us more resources, aka money. Why would we send somebody more money who couldn't even manage the money in a city in which they receive from the federal government in the first place, let alone protecting their citizens? Doesn't make no sense. Doesn't make no sense. It's irrational. It's cruel. So Don Lemon, I say Donald. Don Lemon clearly lives a privileged life. He's insulated from the crime, the fear, and the real consequences of failed policies. He lives in a bubble. That's why he was so stunned when he went to Baltimore and asked real people on the ground what they thought about the National Guard. So now I want to get to that family. Check out what the actual people had to say that's on the ground and actually live in Baltimore.
I've been a resident of Maryland all my life, so I think it would help some.
Why so?
Coming from a family that was broken up, my husband was murdered 2 years ago, and nothing was ever done.
Murder where? At home?
Right out in front of our house.
Sorry.
It was a carjacking gone wrong, and they shot him in his head. Killed him instantly, so. But again, our lovely mayor didn't do nothing.
Did they ever find the perpetrator?
Nope.
So you want to see it?
Yes, I want justice.
You want justice, and you would like to see the troops here in the National Guard?
Yes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, and I'm sorry you had that experience.
He was ready to get up out of there. He didn't even want to hear the real truth and the sentiment of real people on the ground. But that's not it, folks. There's another individual, a black guy.
The president said he wants to send troops here to Maryland. What do you think? Baltimore into Maryland?
I'm not opposed of it.
Right.
I think it'll be a good idea.
Why so?
Maybe we can clean up some of this crime-ridden neighborhoods.
Yeah.
You know?
Is the crime bad?
Very bad. Atrocious. And, I'm out of breath, so you have to see.
I see you were running. You got your prayer rug. Yeah.
Right, I'm on my way to Juma.
Yeah.
It'll be a breath of fresh air.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. The president said he wants.
So look, family, they told him plainly that they'll welcome the troops. These are people who have lost family members, who live in fear every day, who are tired of waiting for politicians to fix things that they say they're going to fix, but don't fix them until it's time to be around campaign season to get reelected, but then asking for more money. And they say, yes, bring in the guard, help us. But Lemon didn't expect the answer. He looked almost annoyed. He looked obviously disgusted. And as quick as they gave their answers, he said thank you, but he was already turning the other way. The thank you wasn't really appreciative in their input because he didn't even acknowledge them to the full extent before he walked away after saying thank you. So as if their lived experience was getting in the way of his carefully crafted narrative, which it was. So Democrats and their media allies like Lemon are detached from working class concerns that they're willing to sacrifice safety, order, and common sense just to preserve their ideological comfort zones. People like Bill Maher admit that deploying troops would absolutely reduce crime. I want you guys to check it out.
Trump brags about the 87% decrease in carjackings in D.C. since the troops moved in. Yes, military states can reduce crime. Point conceded. Will militarizing our cities make them safer? Yes, but not safer for democracy.
Well, and yet they oppose it on vague uh, philosophical grounds. Marr actually said that yes, militarizing cities would make them safer, but not safer for democracy. So how disconnected can you be, Bill Maher? For you, do you have to be to say something like that? Because these people would rather watch innocent lives be the lost than allow Donald Trump to be seen as effective. Donald Trump doesn't get nothing out of this. But he had already said recently, this past week, that he has an obligation to protect his country, meaning the people, being pro American, being American first, which means actually prioritizing the needs and the safety of citizens. If you want a city to thrive, you got to have good education system, safety, good infrastructure, meaning businesses are coming there to create jobs, right? And you got to have people there. But if safety is being jeopardized, people are going to move out. Businesses are going to flee. Jobs are going to be lost. Schools are going to suffer. Enrollment is going to be low. Funding is not needed if they don't have much kids. And then, however, it can be leading to, because the city is suffering so much, budget cuts is happening. Now they're overexerting and overexpending for things and places, and money is being allocated in places it doesn't need to be. Because if these things are strong, such as infrastructure, safety, education, jobs, if all four components are thriving, who would not want to go to the city, right? Who would not want to enjoy the luxuries of the city? To bring more money into the city because businesses are there, people can walk around, people can enjoy the restaurants and the whole luxuries of the city and actually have a real experience. So, the point I'm making is, it's not like Trump is using the National Guard to crack down on free speech or round up political opponents. The way they make him as a authoritarian or a tyrant. He's for the people. But it's as though they say the most anti-American things, which blows my mind. Because they say, oh, Donald Trump is coming after his political opponents. I don't see no newsrooms being raided or jailing governors. He's deploying troops to protect people, the American people, often in predominantly black communities who suffer the most from violent crime. But to the Democrats, that's a bigger threat than murder. They'd rather people continue to die than admit Trump might be right. It's wild. To the point where you're so in denial. It's like you're in a relationship with somebody and they'd rather feed their delusions than the reality of what's actually causing a relationship to suffer. Let's say, for example, it may be communication. They overtalk you and they only see that they're right and they don't want to hear nothing you got to say. One-sided, right? It's so one-sided that when do we have problems to actually have a partisan agreement or a partisan understanding from both parties about the American safety? Because if it was in these individuals' neighborhoods who live in their little suburban luxury bubbles, it would be a different conversation, right? Let me know down in the comments. Am I tripping? Am I tripping or what? So, and just when you thought things could get more twisted, the bonus clip, New York General Letitia James proudly boasted about her abortion at a public event, and she stood there cheering herself on for ending a pregnancy as a political rallying point. Something so sentimental, something so heartfelt as an abortion. It's so many people, it's so many women out there that have to go through this unprecedented action because they can't control the process of carrying a baby. We hope everything turns out well, but they can't control the effects or anything. We all know that when a woman gives birth, it's always a relief when the baby and the mother is safe and healthy after the process of her giving birth. Because there's many incidents where there had to been choosing between life given, between the mother and the child. There's many incidents where parents Mothers in particular felt as though they have a child that has so many defects they won't be able to be sustainable and live on their own and have the experience that others may be able to live, being self-sustainable and be able to work a job and provide for themselves without having a life of dependency, without depending on someone. And if they're not around, God forbid, they leave this world one day, who's going to care for their child? So they abort the child because they were ready the child to suffer. So what I'm saying is these Democrats would take something so sentimental, so heartfelt, that's so dire and a touchy subject, and to the point with this extremism and radical left ideologies to just boast to be able to stay in power, that they would take such a sentimental, heartfelt topic like abortion and rally it on actually killing babies when there's actually individuals that felt like they live in regret and survivor's remorse because they may have to got rid of their baby due to a dire situation between a life or death situation and something so tedious and something so serious, right? She's rallying on killing and ending a pregnancy, right? And this is the face of modern Democratic Party, celebrating abortion, ignoring crime, and preaching moral superiority from a perch of elite privilege. They claim to be the party of compassion, but their actions say otherwise. Check it out. Excuse the audio. I can't control the audio.
I was just elected, and I was faced with the decision whether to have an abortion or not. And I chose to have an abortion. I walked proudly into Planned Parenthood. And I make no apologies to anyone. To no one.
In the end, this is why they lost the 2024 election, the Democrats, and why they're still losing support. They don't listen to the American people. They dismiss real concerns, laugh at working class suffering, and sell idealistic nonsense that no one buys anymore. The Don Lemons of the world are doing more harm than good. And it's clear from these clips that the average Americans are waking up to the con. But I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like it, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on those notification bells. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.